Prophecy Games, the studio behind Tribes 3, is back with another game, and we need to talk about it. Prophecy Games, a fairly newfound studio that was initially formed as a studio under the Hi-Res Studios umbrella, which are the developers behind Smite and Tribes 2. Now in 2020, Prophecy Games, they spun so motherflippin' hard that they no longer sit under the umbrella of Hi-Res Studios. They're now an independent studio that just so happened to have released their latest game, Deadzone Rogue, which is more or less a spin-off of Star Siege Deadzone, but oh, so much better in many ways. But the weird thing to me is that the first Tribes game was actually called Star Siege Tribes, Star Siege being one of the characters in the Tribes series. But I can't find any connection to the games anywhere. I might be missing something, or they were just trying to win something by using the name. I don't know. Nonetheless, as with any developer touching the Tribes franchise, it ends up in disaster. And it was no different when Prophecy Games released Tribes 3, then releasing Star Siege Deadzone to mixed reviews and abandoning both games early on after launch. It didn't build a great reputation for the studio to start off the independent journey with, to say the least. But the question is, are they about to have their redemption with Deadzone Rogue? Let's find out, shall we? First of all, I really want to mention that if you own Star Siege Deadzone, you should have Deadzone Rogue in your Steam library as you're watching this video. All you gotta do is download it and play, completely free of charge. And that's what I call admitting defeat and making up for it, from the studio's point of view, that is.
Oh God, is that me? Where the hell is my face?
So in Deadzone Rogue, we wake up on this mysterious spaceship out in the vast emptiness of space. With no human in sight, we naturally pick up a weapon and start shooting things before asking any form of questions. Lucky us, it turns out that there are some form of mighty powerful AI on this ship that wants nothing but to kill us, and is of course controlling these robots that are standing in our way. Now what this does is only prove that violence solves everything. Who needs to talk, huh? Always fire first, ask questions later, for your own safety of course. Now the game that we're talking about today, it is a roguelite, but let me run down how the progression and gameplay loop plays in this one, as they all differ quite a bit from each other. So in Deadzone, you clear room after room to progress, each room starting you off invisible, letting you scout the area, mark the enemies and strategize your attack, even pick up barrels and move them around. I mean, this whole mechanic, it doesn't really go deep, it is quite simple, and I like it. Sure, it feels a bit weird walking past an energy field and turning invisible, but it adds more fun than weirdness to the mix. Now after that, it is time to start blasting, and things they quickly go from 0 to 100 gazillion billion once you start firing. Eventually, you have killed the enemies, hopefully, if you didn't die of course, and they have dropped loot. Loot in the form of currencies, gears and weapons, and this is what I really like about this specific loop. The gear that you find, it's quite simple. A headpiece gives you more armor, and the stronger it is, the more armor it gives, clearly indicated by gear level and color, depending on its rarity. And the higher the rarity, the more additional stats it has, like increased electrical damage or void damage or crit damage, and you know, so on and so forth, all those standard things. Which brings me to the meat of the pie, the weapons! The weapons, just as the gear, drops from the enemies, and they, just as the gear as well, are indicated in the same way, whereas a higher tier of rarity gives elemental damage to the weapon, and there is a whooping 30 motherflippin' different weapons in the game, all with different elemental and kinetic damage to them. And I have to say, the combat actually feels amazing in this game. The animations, they're extremely smooth. The weapon designs, they're a mix of Tribes meets Quake 3. And the hit feedback on the enemies, it's just excellent. The headshots or the weak spot shots actually even have a cling to them, which in my opinion is just like the topping on the cake, the only thing that you actually eat on it. Yeah, I know, the numbers, they can be a bit frustrating for some, but you can turn it off if you want to. Now personally, I like to have them on to clearly see when I dealt a critical hit and how much damage my weapon is actually dealing. Now, after you killed all of these enemies, there spawns a droid at the exit of the room, and that droid holds a talent that might increase your critical chance or elemental damage, etc. and so on and so forth. And if you're even more lucky, in the hallway to the next room there might be a shop where you can spend the run-specific currency that the enemies dropped to buy new weapons or upgrade the current gear that you have on you. And if you die, well, it's back to the hub area and you lost everything that you found. All the gear, all the weapons, apart from one currency that lets you unlock permanent upgrades. The most fun of it all, however, is how quickly the tides of battle can change. One moment you might be fighting till the sweat drops from your freaking forehead just to stay alive, and 2 rooms later you found new gear and a weapon that, combined with the talent that you acquired earlier, turns you into a flipping power fantasy dream come true, letting you melt your foes like butter in the sun, and really makes you feel like you outsmarted the whole game, like you're also damn good at it. But in reality, the game is just playing you. It's this unknowing and craziness that almost brings the feeling of playing at the casino, never really knowing when you strike a jackpot. And that is honestly what makes it so interesting and intriguing to play. Just keep on pushing, just one more round. That, of course, combined with the incredibly smooth gunplay, the decent movement, the great hit feedback and top-notch visuals is what makes this game seriously motherflippin' fun. But it's not all sunshine, my broskis. The game has a few areas where it could improve upon. Now, for starters, the permanent upgrades, they feel very simple. There isn't much depth to them at all, which hurts the long run of a roguelite. I want things to fight for, and it's, in my opinion, one of the most important aspects in a roguelite. That said though, it does get a bit more advanced once you get to Zone 2, but that should be shown from the get-go. I get it that you can't buy it from the start, but you should be able to see what you're fighting for, what you can unlock in the future, tease you. And the same thing goes with the starting hub area. It's very plain, very simple, with seriously nothing to do in there apart from permanent upgrades. Especially considering how many times you're going to visit it. Well, it should be stunning. It should evolve as you progress, but unfortunately it does not. And then we have the actual design of the enemies. They are honestly rather boring. There is a great variety to them, from robots to mutants, flying and shooting, but I want something a bit more wild and crazy. None of them, apart from one boss, feels rather memorable, which honestly doesn't really fit the overall tone of the game, loaded with dead bodies here and there. Some areas even having blood-soaked floors. And that actually brings me to the environments. Some rooms, they are great, just as I described, but they are actually very few. The majority of them are very plain and simple, very sci-fi grey walls with a few boxes. And they don't seem to be procedurally generated, which, yeah, that is actually quite a good thing, having handcrafted levels, but since they are so simple, it wouldn't hurt if they were procedurally generated, especially for the replayability. Other than that, I don't really have much to complain about. It's more than a decent shooter with already hours of fun to be had, both in solo and with up to 2 friends. And all of that said, it's only the first version of early access right now. We got 2 acts to play around with quests inside of them, really changing things up, going from shotguns only to ranged only, dark areas, so on and so forth. And we got more of everything coming, plus a 3rd act. So do I recommend the game? Yeah, I do. Compare it to the demo, there is like twice as much game now with a ton more coming. And the price tag, I think it's fairly priced actually for what we're getting. We're getting a visually stunning game, a game with really high quality combat, guns, enemies, everything. It's just, it reeks of AA production. And really, overall, it is a really decent first-person shooter roguelite that simply offers hours of fun. But you know something that is even more important than a good game? It's that you know that I think that you're awesome, because I freaking do. And I will see you in the next one. Over and out.